I have often been told, all my life in fact, that I'm too kind for my own good, although I've never really understood what that meant. Growing up, I was spoiled with everything I wanted because I come from a very rich and well-known family in my home city. Every birthday, Christmas, and other special occasions, I was showered with thousands of gifts from family members and friends alike. It was everything any kid could dream of. So, having been blessed with whatever I wanted, it baffled me that there were people out there who had much less or even nothing at all. When I was 8, my mom and I were walking down the busy streets of our shopping district when I spotted a man sitting on the pavement. He was leaning against the brick wall of one of the stores and holding an empty coffee cup. "Why is his cup empty, Mommy?" I asked her. She was staring into the very shop window that he was leaning against, admiring the designer bags inside. "What, honey? That man there. Why is he holding an empty cup?" She sort of jumped when she finally noticed him, holding tighter onto my hand. "Oh, it's for people to put money in, sweetie." "Can we put money in it?" I asked. At this point, he had heard our conversations and was raising the cup toward us. My mom reluctantly put the change from her purse into the paper cup and led me into the store. As we got into the store, she knelt down to be at the same level as me, stroked my hair behind my ear, and smiled. "That was very kind of you, sweetie, but just because someone is holding a cup, it doesn't mean you should always put money in it." "Why not?" I wondered. "Well, if we put money in everyone's cup, then we won't have any money left for ourselves. Understand?" I nodded in response, although I was honestly confused. We had so much to our name. My mom even bought an expensive bag from that very shop. So, why wouldn't we help someone else in need? My name is Adrian Hunter. I am, at present, 42 years of age, and this is the story of how I lost everything. Throughout the rest of my life, I did my best to always help anyone who needed it. As I started high school at the age of 14, my mom had finally given me access to our family's bank account, which meant I had money to spend on hanging out with friends, going out for food, or buying gifts for my family. My best friend Elijah was also a part of a well-established family, so we had a similar lifestyle to one another. On top of this, because Elijah already had money of his own, it meant I didn't have to worry about him being friends with me just for my wealth, which is something my mom said I should always be careful of. Elijah and I did everything together. We were both on the school's basketball team, so we would practice after school every day. We also loved the same movies, TV shows, and books, so we never argued over what to do. And when it came to food, we could both eat enough for a whole family, and we agreed that there was nothing more disgusting than mushrooms. The only thing Elijah and I didn't agree on, however, were my charitable habits. During the first couple of weeks of high school, I noticed that the same group of kids would sit at one table and share whatever food they had. Their parents must not have been able to give them enough money for lunch. So, I would buy them lunch, every day, and they would thank me in their own ways. The two girls in the group, twins by the names of Jessica and Amy, would help me with my math homework, which was great since I wasn't very good at that subject. And the boy Milo would draw me these incredible pictures of whatever I liked. I always bet that he would be a famous artist one day. Elijah would always try and stop me, though. He said similar things to what my mother said. "If you spend your money on other people, you won't be able to spend it on yourself." But I had everything I wanted, and they could barely afford lunch. So why wouldn't I help them? Elijah and I continued to argue about this throughout most of our time in high school. There were only two other things we had ever fought over. The first being who got the last slice of pizza, and the second was the one time in 11th grade we both had a crush on the same girl. She chose me, although our relationship didn't last very long. She didn't like that I gave my money away either. "Why buy those loser friends of yours lunch when you could buy me expensive gifts?" I broke up with her shortly after she said that. Jessica, Amy, and Milo were the only other people that I considered friends at school. The rest of the students just seemed to be nice to me so that I'd buy them things. After graduation, I lost touch with the three of them. but as far as I'm aware, Milo went to art school in New York, and Jessica and Amy both went to Brown. Elijah and I first got our undergraduate degrees in political science, and then we went on to study constitutional law at Harvard, to follow in the footsteps of our parents. While studying at Harvard, I stuck to my policy of helping anyone in need by joining a club at the school. It involved cleaning up the local areas that had been littered with trash and slowly deteriorated from lack of care. On top of this, our club sponsored a national charity that did the same thing, only all over America. I made regular donations in hopes they could make a difference. The charity organization even sent me a certificate and other memorabilia to say thank you. Because of my acts of kindness, I was pretty popular around campus. But Elijah and I started having more fights far too often. He was upset that I would spend time with other students who wouldn't usually fit in with our image. He claimed the same thing he did in high school. "They're just after your money! They're not real friends!" Then I started to wonder, was he even a real friend? He would always tell me that people would only try to get close to me for my money. But isn't that exactly what he was doing? I mean, would he even have talked to me if it wasn't for the fact of my wealth? A couple of weeks into college, I decided we should have some time apart. He was pretty pissed, but eventually, he started to hang out with some folks from his study group. I branched out to all different groups on campus. I had some friends in environmental law, some in corporate, some were freshmen like me, and some who were in their final year of study. And most importantly, none of them cared about my money or status. We were just friends. Real friends. My closest friend in the group was Hannah, a second-year environmental law student. She had moved here from Korea to study. She was also a part of my club, so we became close, very quickly. And it didn't take long for it to become more. In my second semester, I finally asked Hannah to be my girlfriend, and we began dating right away. Most of the time, we would just study together, but it didn't matter what we did. We were just happy to be in each other's company. Hannah and I continued to date for the remainder of our time at Harvard, and only split a couple of years after graduation. See, her mom got sick suddenly, so she had to move back to Korea to take care of her. We decided to end things up front from there, since long distance rarely works out. We stayed in contact for a while, but slowly stopped talking over time. I heard she moved back to the States a few years back. I haven't dared to get in touch. Actually, I got married shortly after Hannah left. My mom introduced me to her friend's daughter through a blind date, and we hit it off straight away. Liz and I were only happy for a little over a year, however, and we just finalized our divorce recently. She got half of my fortune in the settlement. In fact, it was the money that tore us apart. Like many others in my life, Liz wanted me to spend our money on us, which also meant she didn't want me donating such large sums to charity anymore. We fought a lot, and eventually she decided to leave. If I'm honest, I don't think we were ever truly in love. It was more convenient than anything. I don't think I've ever loved anyone like I loved Hannah, and probably never will.